Dubai is a city that is glamorized for its sunshine, luxurious lifestyle, and of course, a 0% income tax, which is leading tens of thousands of people every year to leave places like the UK, Canada, and the US in favor of this growing, exciting, and fast-moving city. But as someone who moved here a year ago and actually lives here full-time, I can tell you that there are many things that you should be aware of and that you should consider before you move here so that you can be prepared for this city, because in many ways Dubai is a completely different animal to what you might be used to, but also in many ways is actually very similar to what you're used to, as we will find out throughout this video. The first is transportation. Now, transportation in Dubai will almost certainly surprise you, but the way that it will surprise you actually depends on where you come from. Now, usually in terms of city design in the first world kind of cities like Europe, US, I usually think of cities that are car dependent, like think Los Angeles, for example, and I think of cities that are very walkable, so walking / cycling friendly, like many European cities. Now, Dubai in many ways is sort of an interesting mix between these two. So if you are an American or you come from North America, you will probably be surprised just how walkable many of the areas in Dubai are. I just had a friend of mine from Canada who moved here, and he said to me that the biggest thing and the biggest quality of life improvement for him, coming from where he came from, is just how walkable Dubai is and how everything that he could ever want to access is within walking distance. And so what really surprised him is that for a lot of European friends that I know that have moved here have said the exact opposite thing. They have said that Dubai is not walkable, it's car dependent. You need a car, there's all these highways and things like this. The thing about Dubai is that the way it sort of works is that it consists of these like separate areas, and every area within of itself is walkable. Well, at least the main areas. There's obviously also areas that are more like gated communities that are not that walkable, like Emirates Hills, like JVC, but the popular expaty areas like Dubai Marina, downtown, Dubai Hills are all walkable. So I just moved back to the Marina last month, and I've been here for a month now, and I have not needed a car at any point. Only when I'm going from one area to another, like when I went to downtown to see some friends, that is when I took a taxi. So my take on this is that it's sort of a really good mix for me, because I actually really like driving. I like having a car. So I like the fact that it is very drivable. Like long term, you want to have a car here, but I also don't like driving so much that I'd want to like drive to the grocery store or something. And I just love the roads here. Yes, the drivers can be a bit crazy. You sort of need to get used to driving here, but the massive highways that are like excellently paved and like the nice cityscapes that you get to look at is really fun for me. So consider that about transportation. Second, we have lifestyle and convenience. The interesting thing about Dubai is that I was just watching some video that was comparing the lifestyle in Dubai and the UAE and lifestyle in North America. And what they were saying is actually remarkably similar to America in many kind of ways, because when you think of the US, everything is big. You've got this massive highways, you've got like massive portions, you've got like very like convenience focused culture. Whereas Europe is more historic, it's less like service oriented. Like for example, in grocery store, what I was surprised as a European here is that they actually pack everything for you. You don't need to pack anything, whereas in Europe, they don't do that for you. And actually being here made me realize just how bad service in Europe is in comparison, because service quality here everywhere is really good, at least in my experience. Like everything here is made to be as convenient as possible. Like you could legitimately live in your apartment and never leave and have everything taken care of. Like 95% of things are super efficient, but then again, the 5% of things that are not super efficient can be very inefficient, like any government services and things like this. So very interesting and very different to the European kind of lifestyle that I'm used to. So if that is something that you're looking for, then you are really going to like it here. There is also a downside to this, because with all this luxury and all this amazing lifestyle and the amazing weather, like if you're not careful, the lifestyle can really take you with it. With so much convenience around you, like you really need to be careful to just not completely fall off and just be out spending all your money in like all the services, all the luxury and everything like this, and constantly eating out at all the amazing restaurants and spending all your money and getting fat, or constantly going to beach clubs or something like that. So if you're able to do this in moderation, it is great, but it is something to keep in mind and to just keep the lifestyle in check, because the lifestyle here is pretty insane, to be honest. Next, we have nature / lack thereof. Now, of course, Dubai is a city in the desert, so no surprises that it's not gonna be like a jungle like Singapore or something like that. Now, interestingly, me personally, I basically grew up in the middle of a forest in Finland, and the entire time I was living there, I just couldn't wait to leave because I just don't care about that stuff. I guess for me, I don't really care that much about having trees around me. It doesn't really affect my quality of life, but for many people that might be important, so that is definitely something to consider. But I've heard many people say that if you stay here the entire year round, which by the way, you're not really supposed to do, we'll get back to that in a second, it can get tiring because you don't see that much greenery around you. Although then again, they are actively making it more green. They are literally planting trees. There's many areas like Dubai Hills, you've got Emirates Hills that are actually very green. Now, of course, it's going to be artificial nature, so if that matters to you, then that's again something to consider. But if you're someone who likes the countryside, you like just walking around in nature, obviously this is not really gonna be the place for that. I don't know what else to tell you. That brings us to number 4, which is the summer heat. Now, Dubai has probably perfect weather for like 6 months of the year, depending on your heat tolerance, up to like 8 months of the year. But then for like 3, 4, 5 months of the year, it is definitely unbearably hot. Like, I remember I came back here this September, and on the meter it would say 42 degrees, which was already the hottest temperature that I've ever been in. But the thing about especially the summer is that it's also very humid, which actually makes it feel even hotter than that. So the temperature meter, the feels like temperature, was actually like 47 up to 48 degrees. And this was September, and like July and August, it can get even worse than that. So basically for a couple of months of the year, this is not really a place where you wanna be unless you want to do the thing where you just basically live inside of your apartment, which you can absolutely do. Just be in your apartment, get all your food delivered, drive a car to the mall or work, wherever you're going. Everything is going to be air conditioned. But if you like being outside like me, probably not ideal in the summer. Like, it's legitimately so hot that and so humid that when I walked outside of my apartment, my like sunglasses would get blurry because of all the humidity coming on them. Yeah, definitely a very interesting experience. But that is why most people who move here, who are entrepreneurs like me, don't even plan to spend the entire year here. And for many of us, that works perfectly. I like having multiple bases around the world. I'm working on a different video on this topic of why I don't live in one place. So for me, it works perfectly that I have a base in Dubai for like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. And then in the summer, I go and explore, I go and travel while I search for eventually a different base or even like a third base to call home and then just like travel between those places. By the way, if you want to follow my quest for my second home around the world, then subscribe to the channel. I make videos about living around the world, living in Dubai, as well as entrepreneurship and making money. So if any of that interests you, leave a subscribe. And the last thing is meeting people. Now, Dubai, because of the kinds of people who move here, like, it's a very expat dominated city, obviously. The kinds of people who move here are probably overall going to be a lot more open-minded than what you would find in places like Europe, for example, simply because the kinds of people from those places who want to make something of themselves, who want to develop their business, their career, who want to do big things, who are like positively minded, are usually the kinds of people who you will find here. So the kinds of people here are actually extremely interesting. But the thing to consider is that in the beginning, if you don't know anyone, then it might be difficult to make that first connection. Actually, when I moved here, like for the first 3 months, I knew 0 people. I knew absolutely no one, which was fine for me at the time because I was developing my course on my main coding channel. But it is something to consider. It's like just making that first connection that then opens up the network, and then meeting more people via those people and things like this can be tough. And obviously there's many things you can do. You can join clubs, you can just literally find people online on Instagram and message them. Like, people here are usually very open-minded. It's not that difficult to meet people if you go out of your way to do it. But if you have an existing contact here who can introduce you, things like this, that is obviously going to be a massive help. It's not really a Dubai thing, it's just a thing about any city in general. When you move to a new place, you need to consider that you might be leaving your entire network behind in your home country. But then again, Dubai specifically, because it's a self-selected group of exactly these kind of people who have pretty much done the exact same thing, you're probably going to find an easier time networking with new people, especially people that are more similar to you, if you are similar to me, than in many other places in the world. So as long as you consider these 5 things, then I think you are going to have an excellent time in Dubai. Like, if you're the kind of person who enjoys Dubai, who enjoys the warm weather, all these kind of things, then it just makes so much sense for most people who are perhaps online business owners, if you're location independent, to move here, which is exactly why so many people are moving here. For me, it was the best decision of my life so far to move here. Dubai is actually the second most popular destination in the world for specifically millionaires to move to. But what might surprise you is that taxes are not even the main reason why so many specifically millionaires move here every single year. And if you wanna know exactly why Dubai is so attractive, especially for successful people, then I made this video right here where I go through these reasons from my experience and from what I've heard from other people. So go watch that video next.